How's it going, everyone? The Beverly Hillbilly here. By request, my follow-up review and final thoughts on the Hori Fighting Stick Mini 4. 6 months ago, I made a video about my initial review of this fight stick. It's currently my most popular video on my personal YouTube channel. Because it's fairly popular, there have been people who have asked, where's the follow-up? Well, here it is. So as some of you know, I did buy a bigger and much better fight stick. I did stick with the Hori family, and I got the Hori Real Arcade Pro version 5. As you can see, it's lightly modded. There will be a separate video just on reviewing this and reviewing the mods. But we're here to talk about this thing, because it definitely deserves a second video. In my initial video review, I said this was the perfect fight stick for people new to the genre, or figuring out if they even liked fight sticks altogether. And it's obvious that I did like using fight sticks. I preferred it over a PS4 controller, which I was using before. And even though I have a bigger and better stick and I rarely use this, I still think this is a wonderful little stick. First of all, it still works. It's held up really well, despite it having a parts bin special joystick and something that may or may not even be buttons. In my initial review, I said these things were just really spongy, and as I have played on other fight sticks that have had Samwa, Samitsu, and Hori parts, these things do really just feel like little springy sponges. There's no indication of where the input is being registered, and it does just kind of stop. It stops flush. And that's really annoying because I was missing inputs because this was just flush. Sometimes it's hard to do that if you're trying to do a snap in Skullgirls. I still think this little stick right here is worth all the $40. Compared to even the Hori Hayabusa stick, it does have a very light, kind of vague feel. You know, I'm just playing on it just like this. And it does feel like, you know, there's no increase in resistance as you go from center to the end. And that's most likely because it just has a very, very tiny, extremely light spring. I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could break into this thing. People online will tell you just don't bother. And I have not cracked one open, but I will give the same recommendation. Just don't bother. If you're looking to modify a fight stick, move up from this. That's not the purpose of this stick. It's not meant to be modded. It's not meant really to camp on it for the long haul. That brings me to another point. In the initial review, I really disliked the whole idea of calling this thing just a stepping stone or a learning stick. Now that I've played on higher end fight sticks and have a high end fight stick of my own, I understand where those arguments come from. This is just a learning tool, in some way. This could be your only fight stick that you ever buy. And when it breaks, you just spend another $40, get another one of these, and just play it until it doesn't work anymore. That's a very viable way to play fighting games. But because this thing does lack higher quality parts, the fact that it does lack any type of physical feedback, its general size, its general lack to mod it, that's where it does kind of fall into the kind of first fight stick, or, you know, my first fight stick kind of thing. But that's okay, because I really thought that's what this fight stick was really made for, people new to using a fight stick or fighting games, or in my case, both. And that's perfectly fine. It's okay to be in that corner, as long as you do it well. And I think the Hori Fighting Stick Mini 4 does hold the very bottom end of the fight stick market better than the, what is it? It is the Mad Catz Alpha, which is twice the price. And this thing is still recommended over it. I have used that fight stick a little bit. I've messed with it at a casual tournament, and it does not even feel as good as this. So if you're new to fighting games, try this thing out. The last little piece of information I do want to say about this thing is, you know, now that I have a higher end fight stick, I could have gotten rid of this thing, just gave it to someone else. But I decided to keep it because I like the backup, and You know, honestly, recently my wife wanted to give Skullgirls a try, and I had a second fight stick here. It's like, hey, try this old mini out. It still works. I can give it to her. I don't have to worry about how she's handling it, if she's hard on it, if it gets dropped for some reason or bumped. You know, it doesn't matter because it was never a big investment in the first place. I mean, it'd be a bummer if it broke, but it wouldn't be as heartbreaking as my $200 Real Arcade Pro version 5 plus mod investment. So this thing does a lot of things that the high-end fight sticks just do not fit into because of A, they're too expensive, or B, that's not what they're really meant for. And it's like that in any other type of market for consumer products. It's great to have the high-end stuff. And it's really nice to have the middle-of-the-road stuff that makes compromises between price and quality. But just because something is cheap at the low end of a consumer market doesn't mean it has to suck. And this little thing is a great example of something that sits at the bottom of the market. And yes, even compared to my nice Real Arcade Pro version 5, doesn't suck. So 6 months down the road, I'm still going to highly recommend anyone new to the genre, new to fight sticks, or you want a second fight stick for some reason, go ahead and grab this thing. This can be your party stick, your friend stick, spare, for the spouse to get into. Hell, I might even crack this thing open and play a casual set with it for good old times. I have fond memories of this thing. I see people at my local tourney show up with these. There's 2 or 3 people that show up with these things, and it's fond memories. It's like, hey, you have a Hori Mini 4. I have one too. Thing still works great. You grind that thing. And that's a great testament to a product that is meant to be the cheap product. You know, because of my positive experience with this, I stick with Hori. And when it comes to modifying my big fight stick, I demand Hori parts only. So I think that's a great product put out by Hori. I'm very happy. So yeah, 6 months down the road, still love this thing. Still highly recommend it to anyone. So there we are. In my next video, that will come out sooner than 6 months, I'm going to do a full-on review of the Hori Real Arcade Pro version 5 with my personal mods, which are all Hori. So we're still technically legit there, giving that a full-on review. Well, I'm the Beverly Hillbilly. Thank you for watching and have a good one.